Hello! I'm going to show you how SARS-CoV-2 infects our cells in a very simple way. So this is my model of SARS-CoV-2. So it is a membrane virus, so it has a cell membrane around it, studded with these glycoproteins, and the glycoproteins are called spike proteins, or S proteins. And those spike proteins, imagine those as keys, and they're going to find a lock. The lock is the ACE2 receptor. And these ACE2 receptors are found in a lot of our cells, but they're definitely found in our lung cells. So this key matches this lock. So when the SARS-CoV-2 virus is inhaled, it's going to bind to that. The spike protein will bind to the ACE2 receptor, and then the cell will engulf the virus. If you remember in biology, we learned about endocytosis. So that's how the virus is going to get inside the cell. And then inside this virus is RNA. And so the RNA is going to come out into the cell. If you remember, RNA is instructions on how to make proteins. But the virus is going to need to replicate this RNA and make more RNA copies. So inside the virus is also an enzyme called RNA-dependent RNA polymerase. RNA-dependent RNA polymerase. So this enzyme is going to take the RNA and it's going to make more RNA out of it. So our cells have a different enzyme called DNA-dependent RNA polymerase, which takes DNA from the nucleus and copies it into RNA. But this virus has a very unique enzyme called RNA-dependent RNA polymerase that takes RNA and makes more RNA from it. So this is a good target for an antiviral medication because this is a unique enzyme. So an inhibitor to this enzyme won't affect our enzymes. So remdesivir is an antiviral that's being used to treat SARS-CoV-2 infections because it inhibits this enzyme. So once the virus is inside the cell, the RNA will make more copies of the RNA with the RNA-dependent RNA polymerase. And then that RNA, the cell's ribosomes, will produce viral proteins. And the viral proteins and the viral RNA will come together, and then new virus particles will be produced, and then they'll be released out of the cell. So every lung cell that's infected will make hundreds and hundreds of new SARS-CoV-2 viruses. And they'll go out and obviously infect other cells, and then they'll make hundreds and hundreds of viruses, etc. So you can go from like inhaling 1,000 viruses to very quickly producing trillions of viruses in just a few days. So in the next video, I'm going to show you how our cells launch an immune response to SARS-CoV-2, and I'm going to be using the smaller version of this for SARS-CoV-2 so that I can show you all the details of what happens with that.